Hi, folks. It's Mark Merrill with Firm. Is it debate time or detour time? A lot of things go up in the air on that one. As you can see here, folks, we have many of the candidates running for governor in the state of Maine. Coming up in the primaries of June, both parties, Democrat and Republican, but also to see which one of these, either a woman or a gentleman, more gentlemen running than women, are going to be the next governor after November of 2026. But first, let's get down to brass tacks from just a few days ago, folks, when Bobby Charles of here and Troy Jackson had a debate in Auburn recently. And here's an interview that Bobby Charles gave with Maine Wire's John Featherston not too long after the debate was over.
We have the kind of corruption you've never seen with the Lewiston shooting fund being abused, and they gave it to themselves, and most of those were Somali. She was deeply involved in a lot of things. Another thing that we've got, of course, is the latest IG report that says that you have $46 million worth of corruption at DHHS here. That was the big DHS IG, and that's just one piece, autism, of an entire portfolio. I mean, I will tell you honestly, and I know it's kind of reciting back to the source, but in my opinion, we have no idea what the universe of until I am governor and we can open all those books, we have no idea what the universe of fraud is here. We're looking at roughly $500 million, I'm going to guess, but if it's as bad as Minneapolis and Minnesota, it could well be the biggest, the second biggest fraud in Maine, in not only the biggest fraud in Maine history, but the second biggest fraud in American history.
I see, as a reporter, Lewiston still has good bones. It still has potential.
Yes.
But Mr. Jackson seems to think that there's nothing wrong in Lewiston.
Well, John, I spent a lot of time yesterday in parts of Lewiston that are filled with bullet holes. I've spent time talking to the kids in Lewiston. I've spent time talking to the Somali business owners. The bottom line is, everything in the world probably divides into two groups. You either believe in ideals and the American dream or you don't. They have literally exploited the Somali population and probably the Rwandans and the Congolese and the Angolans. The Democrats have given them lots and lots of fraudulent money effectively for their votes. But that doesn't help any of them. It's exploiting them. At the end of the day, if you get all these wide receivers in the end zone with lots of fraudulent money, you have to infer that there is a quarterback, and the quarterback is the Democrat Party. What an incredibly, we have the kind of corruption you've never seen with the Lewiston shooting fund being abused, and What an incredible evening. An opportunity to speak truth to the Democrats, to speak truth to the world, and to bring home the fact that we need to truly cut the spending, cut the taxes, get the drug traffickers and illegal aliens out of the state, rebuild our schools, and get the fraud out of the state. It couldn't be more clear. We truly are on the takeoff path. If we will hold together as Republicans, bring a few independents in, bring a few conservative old JFK Democrats in, we will win this election cycle.
One reporter's observation. When you were talking about the subject of corruption, you gave a very full answer that we will report on. Mr. Jackson did not even touch the subject, but instead decided to attack the Maine Wire. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to tell it to you, John, just the way I feel about it. If you're over the target, you're going to take flack. And if you're taking flack, you're over the target. You guys speak truth every day of the week. You're just about the only outlet that consistently does that. There were several others here tonight. But the bottom line is, they can't stand the bright light. You know, I hate to say it, but, you know, he had nothing to say because he's part of the problem. Corruption in the state of Maine is endemic. It is the worst I've ever seen. I did federal investigations for 5 years. I never saw anything as proportionally bad as the corruption in the state of Maine, and the Democrats own every bit of it.
He brought up Decca DeLocke quite a few times tonight and blames you for her not rerunning for the legislature. Your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I'll take full credit, and thank you very much. Why? Because she, believe it or not, was in the legislature at the exact same time that she had the conflict of interest of being number 2 working with gay
So, as you just heard, ladies and gentlemen, there from Bobby Charles after the debate and an interview with John Featherston of the Maine Wire. Pretty bottom line, black and white, isn't it? Here's a great example of what John Featherston was talking about. It's like being a little bit more animated, or just plain animated, not making very many points. Seems from that, doesn't it, folks? So here it is, the breakdown from the other side of the media aisle, if you will, the biased and one-sided Portland Press-Herald. Quoting from Rachel Ohm, staff writer, Portland Press-Herald, February 26th. Candidates for Maine Governor Troy Jackson Bobby Charles exchanged jabs in Auburn debate. Exchanged jabs? Right off the bat, girl. Where the hell were you? You just like make up stuff just to avoid the truth as you go? Shame on you. Wish I had a bigger picture of Rachel Ohm. So she writes. If you want to find it, folks, it's right there. If you can get through all of the advertising and garbage that you have to do online to subscribe to this rag, among the other ones called the Bangor Daily News, the Sentinel, and the KJ up this way in the greater Waterville, Augusta area. Maine candidates for Governor Troy Jackson and Bobby Charles, she wrote, faced off in a heated debate Wednesday night, tackling questions about immigration, affordability, and drug addiction, while also taking plenty of swipes at each other. No, wrong. Bobby Charles didn't take any swipes. Look who's pointing the finger, folks. Exactly. Jackson, the Democrat, and former Senate President, whoopee, and Charles, a Republican and former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State at the federal level, folks, among other honors and life jobs that he's had, met at the Hilton Garden Inn in Auburn for an unusual one-on-one debate that was organized by the candidates more than 3 months before the primaries on June 9th. An hour-and-a-half forum offered opportunities for both to boost their campaigns in a crowded race that features nearly 24 candidates vying to replace Democratic Governor Janet Mills, who was term limited and running for the U.S. Senate. Jackson originally challenged Charles to a debate as a way of calling out what he's characterized as racist rhetoric from Charles, particularly surrounding the Somali American community in Maine. Well, you clearly heard from Bobby here, folks. That's not the case. Lying. Total lies here, mister. Then, Ms. Ohm continues to write, that included a series of social media posts Charles made last year targeting Representative Deka Delac, as you heard mentioned in his interview with the Maine Wire. Delac from South Portland, who is from Somalia originally, and whom he has described, Charles had described as a radical Somalia first lawmaker, and she is. It's hard to take the bottom line sometimes, isn't it, folks? Nope. We don't think so here at Firm. And you get in touch with us anytime you want to here, folks, right here, all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we want to hear from you. And we'll give you the honest answer. Truth, facts, reality, and common sense. Moving on. Jackson said Wednesday night, quote, referring to Charles, he's been going around calling people a drain on society, meaning the Somalians, and that they're part of the problem. It's just constant race baiting with this guy. Oh, my goodness sakes. Somebody certainly has not taken their calm down pills, have they? You know what? Take that finger and that pen down, Mr. Jackson. You don't know where that pen's been. You could spread an illness. So now moving on here, folks. We've got a couple of women here who are, well, let's just, shall we say, they're a little bit off their rockers. Here we go. Right. Robin Kelly over here and Representative Yvette Clark over here. Kelly from Illinois, or representing Illinois, and Clark representing New York State in a particular district, decided they were going to have a after-gathering Democrat laugh at Trump's expense. Are we really? Well, here's a breakdown on that, how that went, from a YouTube reporter. She did a pretty good job, folks. Shows these people in their true lights and what they really are like. And God help the constituents that they represent in their states. Oy.
President Trump's State of the Union address and others held their own rallies elsewhere, a striking moment unfolded not on the House floor, but on a live stream afterward, where two Democratic representatives didn't just critique President Trump's speech, they laughed about the parade of medals he was handing out. So Representatives Yvette Clark and Robin Kelly joined a live stream on the YouTube channel State of the People to recap the speech, where they poked fun at how frequently Trump paused to hand out medals.
It was as horrific as I thought it would be.
Did you leave early?
Absolutely.
It was like an award show. You get a medal. You get a medal. You get a medal.
That's literally, Mo just said, you get a car, you get a car. Y'all are on the same page.
But who exactly were they reacting to? Well, during the address, Trump recognized several service members and civilians. A 100-year-old Korean War veteran, retired Navy Captain Royce Williams, was honored for extraordinary aerial combat in 1952 that had remained classified for decades. And Trump described him as a brave captain finally receiving long overdue recognition. Army Chief Warrant Officer 5 Eric Slover was awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions as a helicopter pilot during a January raid that led to the capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. He was wounded in the operation but continued his mission under fire. Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf received the Purple Heart after being seriously wounded in the line of duty while serving the West Virginia National Guard in Washington, D.C. last November. And he was on patrol near downtown D.C. when a gunman ambushed his unit. He was shot in the head and critically injured, but survived. Trump also awarded the Legion of Merit to U.S. Coast Guard rescue swimmer Petty Officer Scott Ruskin, who is credited with saving around 165 people, including children, during the deadly July 4th, 2025 flooding in Texas near Camp Mystic, where historic flash floods claimed many lives. That contrast between ceremonial tribute and political rebuttal captures just how sharply divided views remain about both the president's priorities and the state of the nation. Now, as Democrats walked out on President Trump's State of the Union address
So basically, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we are here. And that was the breakdown after Mr. Trump gave out those medals. So we'd like to start things or finish things off with this particular one, folks, as we present to you debates or detours on our particular program here on FIRM, Fairness in Reporting Media. Mark Merrill, as always, your host. We call these two ladies kind of the Misses of Mayhem. Or maybe how about another phrase for the two of these so-called representatives of their states as the hyenas of hate. How's that? Oh, by the way, we got to back up here on Ms. Kelly. Right here. Ms. Wonderful. All dressed in her party blue. The state seal of Illinois behind her. Yeah, well, we know who the governor is of Illinois, J.D. Pritzker. Does that give you any help or any hope for the state of Illinois with this chick in charge or representing you in Congress after that video? I doubt it. First things first. Ms. Kelly, as reported on FIRM, on this program, on this podcast network of ours, on YouTube channel and X and Substack, a few weeks ago, folks, she was the one representing and trying to free up money, federal money, and force Congress to impeach DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, you may recall, and defund the Department of DHS and seek also to stop federal funds to ICE. This is a little reminder. Otherwise, a representative from Illinois' 2nd Congressional District, serving since 2013, 12 years of this nonsense. She was born in Harlem, in New York. Earned her Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology. Well, that didn't do much good, did it? And a Master of Arts in Counseling. Guess that didn't either. From Bradley University. Later received a PhD in Political Science. Oh, great. Just keeps adding up and rolling up, doesn't it, folks? Yeah, I just wish I had a snare drum and a cymbal. But crap. Before her congressional career, Kelly served in various roles, including state representative in Illinois and the chief administrative officer of Cook County. Yikes. We're going to move along on these two folks, but just think you ought to know what's behind or what kind of education is involved in these women and whether it was spent wisely by either they themselves or their parents. I always go back to the parents. I don't know about you folks, but I think it's a good idea. From whom were you raised to think this way about wanting a sitting president of the United States to be shot or to die in office because you dislike his policies? You two ladies, think about that, all right? At least you damn well better. Oh, and Miss Kelly seems she won the position that she has in a special election in 2013, succeeding Jesse Jackson Jr. of all people. How ironic is that? With the senior Jackson unfortunately passing away in the past few days. Our sympathies to the Jackson family, folks. She focused on issues such as health care, gun violence prevention, consumer protection during her time in Congress, currently. and played a significant role in extending Medicaid coverage from 60 days to a year, which she cites as a major accomplishment. Her current status right now, as we move along here before we get to her cohort in crime, Ms. Clark. As of right now, she continues, Ms. Kelly, to serve in Congress while campaigning for the Senate. Expressed confidence in her ability to win the election, citing her extensive relationships with the party and legislative experience. In summary, Ms. Kelly is a prominent figure in Illinois politics, known for her advocacy on health care and gun violence issues, as we said, and is currently positioning herself for a role in the U.S. Senate. God help us all. And God help Illinois. Yikes. Yvette Clark now. She's a U.S. representative for New York's 9th Congress District, serving since 2013 as well, and known for her advocacy on health care, education, and technology. Well, at least it's not on gun violence. She was born in Flatbush, Brooklyn, to Jamaican parents, immigrants, legal ones, I'm hoping. She attended Oberlin College, where she interned in the Washington, D.C. office of Representative Major Owens. Before entering politics, Clark worked in various roles, including as a child care specialist and assistant to state legislators. She began her political career in New York's City Council with the 40th District from 2002 to 2006 and was first elected to Congress in 2006, representing New York's 11th Congressional District. Now she's in the 9th. And she's a member of the Democrat Party and active in various congressional committees, including the Energy and Commerce Committee and the Congressional Black Caucus, and she's the chairperson of that caucus. Throughout her time in Congress, Ms. Clark focused on several key issues: health care, advocate for Medicare for all, and has introduced legislation aimed at improving women's health, including Menopause Research Equity Act and the Uterine Cancer Study Act. Well, isn't that nice? She's worked to increase funding for stem cell programs. Oy. And supports initiatives for free college education. As a leader in the tech policy field, she's introduced legislation to address issues related to artificial intelligence and misinformation, including Deepfakes Accountability Act. She's known for her commitment to constituents in one of the most diverse districts in the nation and actively engages with community issues, advocating for policies that support economic development, housing, and immigration reform. Yeah, right. Immigration reform? She better have been guided by her folks who are hopefully, as I said, legal Jamaican immigrants. Hopefully. Cross your fingers. Pray a lot, folks. Or at least pray for New Yorkers. It's already bad enough with AOC and Schumer there. Oi! Now some final commentary here, folks. We here at Firm have always been about truth, facts, reality, and common sense, as you know. But one particular positive note out of all this, folks, just occurred to me on the political path to a final vote in November this year. All Americans and Mainers. At least for now, there are several candidates, as you can see, to research and decide before the June primaries, Democrat and Republican, so that we the people, is our motto on our car, folks. It's part of the Constitution preamble. We the people have a more clear and focused choice for leading Maine and the United States as a whole. So let's make sure, ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls voting in your first primary or general election, okay, put away your phones, your tablets, your devices of contact or of choice, and really study. And see how these people of interest have promoted only one institution. Do they support the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and Declaration of Independence, their laws and policies? If not, then find that man or woman that does, because it's your country next. Your rights, your freedoms, and your speech that'll be upheld or gone. Mark Merrill again for Firm. fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. Contact us anytime. We're also on YouTube, X, and Substack. Pray for everyone in our country, folks, and our state going forward. Peace to all.